Long ago, in the radiant kingdom of Brahmavanta, there was born a prince named Mahasattva, the very embodiment of grace, courage, and clarity. From the moment he could walk, his steps carried the stillness of mountains and the fire of justice. People believed the gods had whispered to him in the womb. Mahasattva was the youngest of 3 brothers. His father, King Brahmadatta, loved him dearly, not just for his virtue, but for his extraordinary sense of truth. He was a prince who kept his word, whether to a beggar or a beast, and everyone in the kingdom knew that if Mahasattva made a promise, not even death could break it. One morning, while hunting in the royal forest, Mahasattva and his brothers found themselves lost in a thicket. A terrible storm had split the sky and twisted the path. Separated from his siblings, Mahasattva sought shelter under a tree. There, he heard something strange, not the thunder, not the wind, but a soft weeping. It was a frail old man, soaked and shivering, lying under broken branches. "Help me," the man whispered. "I'm dying, but I must get this medicine to my village before sunset. It's the only cure for my daughter's fever." Without hesitation, Mahasattva knelt beside him. "I will deliver it." "No," said the man weakly. "Swear to me, by your life and honor, that you'll do it, or leave me to try myself." The prince placed his hand on his chest and said, "By the crown I wear and the soul I carry, I vow your daughter shall receive this medicine before the sun touches the western hills." The old man's face relaxed. He closed his eyes and did not wake again. Mahasattva wrapped the flask of medicine in cloth and ran. The storm tore at his robe. Thorns ripped at his feet. He stumbled down ravines and crossed rivers swollen from rain. As the sun dipped lower, he reached a ridge where he could see smoke rising from a distant village. Relief washed over him. But then, a sudden cry stopped him. Down the hill, trapped in a hunting trap, was a starving tigress. Her ribs jutted out like bones of a boat, and beside her lay 3 half-dead cubs. She tried to stand, but collapsed. Her eyes locked with his, feral, desperate, pleading. Mahasattva stood frozen. He had to deliver the medicine. A child's life depended on him. But here, 3 more lives were about to end. He had nothing left to give. No food, no way to free her, except one thing: himself. He stood there between 2 duties, the promise to save 1 child and the chance to save 4 lives. The wind quieted. The forest waited, and the prince made a choice. Mahasattva stepped toward the tigress. She flinched, growling weakly, her instincts still burning despite her hunger. The cubs whimpered. The prince's heart trembled, not with fear, but with clarity. He removed the medicine pouch from his belt and placed it gently on a high rock where it would stay dry. Then he looked up toward the sky, orange with the nearing sunset, and whispered a prayer not for his safety, but for the strength to follow through. "If this life can nourish another, let it be given freely. I made a vow, 1 life saved already. Now, let me answer the cries I did not expect." Without hesitation, Mahasattva climbed a ledge above the tigress's den. Below, the tigress raised her head. Her breath quickened. Mahasattva took a deep breath and leapt. The forest went silent. The moment froze, but compassion had spoken. When his body fell, he didn't cry out. There was no pain, only peace. The tigress, shocked, crept forward. Instinct warred with disbelief, but her hunger was stronger. With slow, trembling steps, she fed. Her cubs were saved, and through that sacrifice, so was the village child, because a passing monk, hearing the tigress's growl, stumbled upon the scene, spotted the medicine, and delivered it to the nearby village. Days later, when Mahasattva's brothers found his robe caught on the thorns near the ravine, and only his footprints leading toward the tigress's lair, they wept. But when the villagers told them of the child who had been saved, they understood. This was no tragedy. This was the echo of a greater vow. When the news reached King Brahmadatta, silence fell over the throne room. Not the silence of confusion, but the kind that cracks hearts. Ministers lowered their eyes. Courtiers held their breath. The king stood still, holding his son's hunting sash, now torn and stained by the forest. "He chose this?" the king asked, voice hoarse. "He did," replied the elder brother, with no hesitation. "And the girl in the village?" the king continued. "She lives. The medicine arrived at sunset. A monk delivered it after finding the flask and signs of the struggle near the tigress's den." Brahmadatta sat down slowly. He kept his vow and gave his life for beings who could not speak, could not ask, could not repay. He wept, not just as a father, but as a man humbled by the purity of another's heart. In the days that followed, the king ordered a pilgrimage to the site of his son's final act. Thousands walked through forest and thorn to reach the cliffside. They brought garlands, prayers, offerings. But what changed them wasn't just grief. It was reverence. For Mahasattva had not died for a crown, or glory, or the eyes of history. He died for a promise and for compassion. And something strange began to happen. The kingdom grew quieter. People lied less. Merchants gave fairer prices. Soldiers treated villagers with kindness. The story of the prince rippled through hearts like a bell in still water. His sacrifice didn't weaken the kingdom. It awakened it. Years later, a temple was built on the hill where Mahasattva had made his final choice. No statue of him was placed there. Only a single stone, engraved with the words, "He kept his vow, even to the end." Epilogue. The seed of a future Buddha. And so this prince, Mahasattva, was none other than the Bodhisattva, the Buddha in one of his past lives. His leap was not into death, but into boundless compassion. He was not born to rule with power, but to guide with love. In that single act, giving his body to feed the tigress, he taught the world a truth stronger than any weapon, law, or crown. Leadership is not dominance. It is sacrifice. Nobility is not blood. It is intention. And real courage is not found in war, but in the quiet choice to suffer so others may live. If this story moved you, let it move your heart too. Subscribe to Staying Inspired 86 for more timeless Jataka Tales. Stories that don't just entertain, but awaken something deeper within us. Together, let's keep these stories alive, not just in memory, but in the way we live. Don't forget to like, share, and turn on the bell, so you never miss a new drop of ancient wisdom told for today's world. This was no tragedy. This was the echo of a greater vow.